Hi guys, David O'Sullivan here, and here we are eventually at my very first 100 subscribers Q&A. Sorry it's taken so long. I've just been very busy with doing other stuff and obviously doing other videos and films coming out and going away and on holiday, and lots of crazy stuff has happened the past few weeks, but now I've eventually got the chance to do this Q&A, and thanks to all you guys that submitted questions. I've got the questions here. I haven't thought about every single one, but I've put some thought into some of them, so without further ado, let's just kick this off with the very first question, and from Ryan O'Toole. Who is your favourite actor, actress? And okay, out of all of them, this is probably the one I put the most thought into, and I'm going to have to do 3 for actor and 3 for actress. I can't just narrow it down to one. And if we're not necessarily talking best actors working today or best of all time, just my favourite actors, my favourite actors are also, I think, great actors as well, and I'll also put them in the conversation of best actors working today. But if we're talking my favourite actors and actresses working today, the 3 I picked out for actress, actually I've got a couple of honourable mentions. I couldn't put these in my top 3 because I haven't loved everything they've done, and I don't think they've been in some films that haven't been that great. But first I've got Anne Hathaway. I love Anne Hathaway. There's Anne Hathaway gets a lot of hate. Not everyone loves Anne Hathaway, but I think she's great. I loved her in Devil Wears Prada. Yes, I'm a big Devil Wears Prada fan. I've loved her ever since I saw her in that. I mean, again, she's been in some lots of great films. There was Princess Diary films that, I don't know, but ever since Devil Wears Prada, she's been in some really great films, and I think she's actually a really great actress. I mean, she was nominated for an Academy Award and won an Oscar for her performance in Les Mis. She was really great in that, and of course she was in Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's film. She was even in that film recently, Colossal, very different kind of film. So I actually think she's a really great actress. I think she's quite a versatile actress. She's been in a lot of different films and given a lot of great performances. But like I said, she's been in some films that haven't been that great, and she hasn't been done it. It's not as if everything she's done has been amazing either, so I couldn't put her in my top 3. And also Scarlett Johansson. I absolutely love Scarlett Johansson. I think she's fantastic, and again, she's given some really great performances over the years. I actually think she is a really great actress. She was in Under the Skin. I think that's maybe her best performance that she's ever given. I think she was absolutely fantastic in that. Even her voice performance in Her, and she was so good in that, they were even considering nominating her for an Oscar, even though it was just a voice performance, and she wasn't in the end because, it was just a voice, but she was that good. She almost got nominated for an Oscar for just the voice performance alone. And she's been in a lot of Woody Allen films like Vicky Cristina Barcelona, and she's been in a lot of films over the years, but like I said, she hasn't been absolutely amazing in everything she's done. She's been in some films that haven't been that great, so I couldn't put her in my top 3. But coming in first in my top 3, and this isn't in any particular order, but Emma Stone. I absolutely love Emma Stone. I've got a real soft spot for Emma Stone. I think she's a really great young actress who's finally seemed to have gotten her big break now with La La Land, and she really came into her own in that film. She was a real revelation, stepped into the spotlight and really showed the world how great of an actress she really is, and even won an Academy Award, so she must have been pretty good in that film. And yeah, I love Emma Stone. I mean, I don't necessarily like the Amazing Spider-Man films, but she, for me, was the one saving grace of those films. I think she was the best part of those films. I even loved her in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think she's a real great actress, and now, she seems to be in kind of a lot of really great kind of awards films, like La La Land, for example. She was amazing in that, and she's going to be in Battle of the Sexes, which is coming up later this year, and she looks completely different, as Billie Jean King in the trailer for that film, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Maybe it could be another Academy Award-worthy performance, I don't know, but I'm glad she's getting a big break now and just coming up in a lot of these kind of real great awards films. Looking forward to seeing her in that. And also Emily Blunt, a British gal, I've got to put her in there. I think she's a really great actress. Again, also in Devil Wears Prada with Anne Hathaway. And since then she's been in a lot of great films, and she's quite a versatile actress as well. Everything she's been in, she's been really quite different. Obviously she was in Sicario, that came out in 2015. She was great in that. She was also in Edge of Tomorrow, just kicking ass alongside Tom Cruise. She was badass in that movie. Looper as well, she was in that. That was the first film I saw her in, I was like, oh, she's a real badass. And then she came back in 2014 in Edge of Tomorrow, kicking some serious ass alongside Tom Cruise, and she was awesome in that. And yeah, I think she's a really great actress. And even in a film like Girl on the Train, which came out last year, which I don't think was a very good film at all, she saved that film for me. She was even really good in that movie, and I think that was quite a bad film, but she was still really good, and she was so good. She even got nominated for a BAFTA for her performance in that film, even though it was a bad film. She was so good, she even got nominated. So yeah, and she kind of saved that film for me. I don't think it was a very good film, but she made that film watchable for me. I think she did a great job in that. So yeah, Emily Blunt. And also she's coming up in Mary Poppins as well. Mary Poppins is one of my favourite films of all time. It's one of my favourite films from my childhood. I absolutely love that film. I grew up with that film. Ordinarily, I would not be on board for a Mary Poppins sequel or reboot or anything like that. But I remember long before they cast Emily Blunt, I was like, I'll only be okay with this if they cast Emily Blunt. She would be perfect. And she was like the fan favourite. She was my number one choice. And then they announced that they cast Emily Blunt. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I don't mind doing a Mary Poppins film if Emily Blunt is Mary Poppins, so I'm okay with that. And lastly, my top 3 favourite actresses working today, I've got Alicia Vikander. I think she's absolutely fantastic. Again, she's really kind of blown up in recent years, ever since she was in Ex Machina back in 2015, really. I think she was fantastic in that. I think an argument could be made that she should have been nominated for her performance. I don't think she was, but she was fantastic in that film. She's playing the character who is not human, and you never for 1 second doubt the fact that she isn't a robot. You genuinely believe she is a robot in that film. She did a great job. And even in films that haven't been that great, like Man from U.N.C.L.E. for example, I didn't hate Man from U.N.C.L.E. I think it was alright, but she was really great in the movie. And The Danish Girl, for example, again, I don't think it was a great film, but she was so good. She almost stole that film from Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne was great, but she was like maybe even better. She even got nominated for her performance in that. I think she might have even won, I don't know. But yeah, and like The Light Between Oceans as well came out last year. I didn't dislike the film. I think it was okay, but for me it was a film that was really elevated by the performances from the actors, from both her and Michael Fassbender. I think they were both amazing in that film. I think they both really made that film. So I don't think the film itself was that great, but the performances from Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander were great and really elevated that film. And yeah, she's also going to be coming up in the upcoming Tomb Raider reboot. I don't really care for Tomb Raider. I'm not a big video game fan. I'm not really interested in that per se. But then they announced Alicia Vikander's going to be in it. I'm like, okay, I'm interested now. And the pictures came out and she looks just like Lara Croft in the video game. So I'm actually really looking forward to checking that out now. Moving on to my top 3 favourite actors working today. I mentioned him a second ago, but Michael Fassbender. I absolutely love Michael Fassbender. He is like unequivocally my number 1 favourite actor working today. I think he is absolutely fantastic. Quite underrated as well. I think he should have won an Academy Award by now. I still think that he should have won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his turn in 12 Years a Slave. I think he was absolutely fantastic in that film. Really blew me away. I think he should have won the Oscar for that, but I don't think he did. And again, he's been in so many great films over the years. He's been in a lot of big kind of franchise genre movies, of course, like the Alien films with Prometheus. I think he was great in that as well. Like, he was the best thing. I mean, I really like Prometheus, but for me, Michael Fassbender stole that movie, and it was the best thing in that film. And of course, what he's done with Magneto in the X-Men films, as Eric Lencher, he really kind of like stole every scene he was in X-Men First Class. I think he was absolutely fantastic in that, and I really love him in that role. And even if on that X-Men Apocalypse, which I liked, not a lot of people thought was that great, but he was by far the best thing in that film. All the scenes with him as Eric Lencher were so emotionally compelling, and I think he did a fantastic job in that. And yeah, he's just such a great actor. Steve Jobs as well. Like, he doesn't really look anything like Steve Jobs, but he was so good and gave such a good performance. You believed and bought into the fact that he was Steve Jobs. And I could even make an argument that he should have won for best lead actor for what he did in Steve Jobs. But then again, he was up against Leo, so he was kind of fighting a losing battle. And Leo did deserve his long-awaited Oscar, but I think if he wasn't up against Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he could have won for Best Actor. He was so good in that film. And the next actor on my list is Jake Gyllenhaal. I think Jake Gyllenhaal was absolutely fantastic. Again, another actor who, every single film he's been in, he's been like very different, and he like really transformed himself into the character he's playing. Of course, with what he did as Lou Bloom in Nightcrawler, that was the first one I think I saw him in where he just absolutely blew me away. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's my favourite actor's working today. He did a fantastic job. Again, I think he should have been nominated for his performance there. I don't know why he wasn't nominated for an Oscar, but what he did in Nightcrawler, because he was absolutely fantastic in that movie. And then, as I mentioned, he's great at transforming himself into the characters he's playing. He went from losing a load of weight as for Lou Bloom in Nightcrawler to then putting on a load of muscle for what he did in Southpaw. And then he even did the Everest film in between those two as well. And I think he is really great. I'll see everything he does. I think he's one of the best actors working today. I even really liked him in Okja as well. Quite divisive performance there, but again, you're not meant to like him in that movie. He's meant to be a guy that you really don't like, and I think he did a really great job in that film. And lastly, Christian Bale. I think Christian Bale, again, like Jake Gyllenhaal, is a fantastic character actor, really great at transforming himself into very different kind of characters and immersing himself into the role. Of course, with Bruce Wayne and Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy, I think he's still my favourite actor in that role. I think he's the best actor in terms of he was able to play all three aspects of the character extremely well. Kind of Batman, of course, Bruce Wayne when he's in the public eye, and also Bruce Wayne who he really is in the Batcave with Alfred. I think he did a fantastic job as all three of those aspects of the character. But even in other films like American Psycho, for example, as Patrick Bateman, I absolutely loved him in that role. I think he did a fantastic job as Patrick Bateman, and he's been in other films as well, like Nolan's The Prestige. I think he was great in that. A very versatile actor, of course, these very different kinds of roles that he can really immerse himself into. So yeah, Christian Bale is another of my favourite actors working today. I know that went on a little bit too long, but I just had to expand it to a top 3 favourite actors and actresses. I couldn't just name one for each, but yeah, there's some of my favourite actors and actresses working today. So thanks for the question, Ryan. Next up, also from Ryan O'Toole actually, is, since the Black Panther trailer came out, do you think Black Panther will have the 6th Infinity Stone? And I don't think so. I could be wrong. Maybe the Infinity Stone, the Soul Stone, will pop up in Black Panther, but I have a feeling that Black Panther will be more of its own self-contained, separate, standalone film for Black Panther, and kind of just about the Black Panther story. I don't think it will have any ties to the larger cinematic universe. And obviously we've got Vibranium there, so that kind of connects it to the Chitauri and outer space and that, but I could be wrong, but I don't think they'll have the Infinity Stone, the 6th Infinity Stone in that film. I think it'll be just more of a self-contained story for Black Panther, similar to Ant-Man in the way Ant-Man was its own kind of self-contained story. Didn't have any kind of connections to the larger cinematic universe, really. It was more of just a standalone Ant-Man solo film, and I think it will be the same for Black Panther. If I had to put money in it, I would say Thor Ragnarok would be the film which will see the 6th Infinity Stone. It's the Soul Stone, which is the only one we haven't seen, and I have a feeling it'll factor into Thor Ragnarok. Maybe it'll have something to do with Hela, who's the goddess of death, the land of the dead, the Soul Stone. Maybe it will tie into that somehow. Maybe Hela will have the Soul Stone, or she'll be seeking the Soul Stone. I could be wrong. Maybe the Soul Stone will have nothing to do with Thor Ragnarok. It's certainly not indicated in any of the trailers. And in previous MCU films where we've seen like the Orb or the Tesseract, they've often appeared in the trailers, and so far we've had no indication of the Soul Stone being a factor into Thor Ragnarok. But I have a feeling it will be in that. It'll be more likely to appear in Thor than it will in Black Panther. It very well could be in Black Panther, I have no idea, but I feel like it'll be more likely to appear in Thor, because when we see these Infinity Stones in the Marvel movies, it's usually in the bigger, more cosmic films, like a Guardians, or an Avengers, or a Doctor Strange, for example, or a Thor. So I feel like it will be more likely to pop up and factor into Thor Ragnarok than it will do Black Panther. But then who knows, maybe it will be Black Panther, I don't know. But I think it's most likely to factor into Thor Ragnarok, I would say. And next up is also from Ryan O'Toole. What are your thoughts on Paramount announcing a Top Gun 2? I don't know. I mean, I don't really have any strong feelings about this. Top Gun Maverick is going to be called. I mean, it's been like 30 years since the original, so it's a very odd time to announce a sequel. But I know Tom Cruise is very passionate about doing this. I remember quite a while back he said, yeah, we're going to do a second one, we're going to do it all for real, and real kind of fighter jets. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. I don't really care for a Top Gun 2. I don't really know if any of the hardcore fans really care for a Top Gun 2 either. Like I said, it's been quite a while since the first one. I'm not really sure if the second one will do spectacularly well. Actually, it's since been announced that Joseph Kosinski, I think that's his name, who directed Oblivion, is the director of the film, was currently attached to direct the movie. And I don't know. I mean, I did like Oblivion. I think it was alright, but it seems a bit of an odd choice for him to be the director of a Top Gun sequel, although apparently he's got good connections to Tom Cruise. Obviously they've worked together before, so who knows. I'm not necessarily against a Top Gun 2. I think it's a little odd to do one now, this long after the first one. I mean, who knows, maybe they'll do it and it'll be a really great film. But I don't really care for Top Gun 2, but I'm not necessarily against it either. So there we go. That's my thoughts on Top Gun. And fourth question from Rhino Tour again is, who would win in a fight, Jason Bourne or James Bond, the Daniel Craig Bond? And for me, this is easy. It's Bourne. Bond is a badass. He's the Daniel Craig Bond, at least. He's an unstoppable, relentless machine. Obviously, we see that scene in the beginning of Casino Royale, the parkour scene where he's just smashing through the walls and everything. He's like a bulldozer chasing after this guy. There is no question that the Daniel Craig Bond is a relentless badass for sure. But Jason Bourne for me has the upper hand, and he has the edge by far because he's essentially superhuman. Daniel Craig, his Bond, as tough and badass as he is a human. Bourne, he's kind of like, he's almost kind of like a super soldier in a way. He's almost like Captain America. He's enhanced to be way stronger and way smarter than any person could be. So I think Bourne would most definitely have the edge. I don't know if we'll ever see a Bourne and Bond crossover, who knows, but for me, Jason Bourne definitely has the edge because he's almost superhuman in a way. He's way stronger, way smarter. He's like upgraded and enhanced almost to beyond what any human could achieve. So as badass as Daniel Craig's Bond is, I think Bourne most definitely has the edge. Thanks for the question. And finally from Rhino Tour is, which is the better film, Logan or Wonder Woman? A very topical question, it would seem, and I'm not in the business really of comparing films when they're like two films that I love and I think they're both really great and both did the best job possible for what they were trying to do. But if I had to say which I think is the best, I would say Logan. And that's nothing against Wonder Woman. I absolutely love Wonder Woman. It's one of my favourite films of the year so far. But for me, I would put Logan just above Wonder Woman. So far, my best films of the year, I've got Logan at number 3, I think. And Wonder Woman's at number 6. So yeah, I think Logan is the better film than Wonder Woman. I don't really have any major problems with Wonder Woman. It kind of becomes a bit of a smashy Zack Snyder CGI heavy finale at the end of the film, but for me it worked because I still cared, I was still invested in the characters, and it was still quite emotional and powerful for me because I was so invested in the characters. But I think Logan was the better movie, and you can make the same argument with Logan. It becomes a big kind of battle at the end, but the difference with Logan is, and I know some people have criticised Logan that it just becomes like it kind of falls apart in its third act, but I wouldn't say that at all, because yes, it is a boss battle essentially, but the major difference with Logan is he's not fighting the villain in the final battle, he's fighting himself essentially. If you really think about it, that's very different. What other comic movie has done that? He's essentially fighting a darker reflection of his own kind of worst kind of inner demons, like embodied in this clone. Spoilers, but yeah, he's essentially fighting a darker reflection of his own worst demons embodied in this character he's going up against in X-24. So that for me made it a lot more interesting. I was a little like, oh, about the clone thing first, but then it won me over as the film went on, and I think it was a really cool idea to have Logan's worst enemy, his most kind of fiercest opponent, his toughest opponent, be himself, be the darkest part of himself embodied in this clone that he's going up against. And like he can beat anyone, he doesn't have a problem with any opponent, but by far his greatest threat and his toughest opponent yet is himself, is what lies inside of him, the darkest, most ferocious aspects of his own nature embodied in this clone. So I think that was a really cool concept, and yeah, so for me I think Logan is the better film, even though I absolutely love Wonder Woman as well. I think Wonder Woman was absolutely amazing, and it's my favourite of the new DCEU movies by far, but I think Logan just has the edge and is the better film. So thanks for the questions, Ryan. And next up from Rich Reviews, first up he asks, what camera do you use? I'm not using the camera currently. This is the camera I use. It's just a basic Canon DSLR. It's not a fancy model. If I was to get a really great DSLR, it would be like £1,000 or something. I bought this a few years ago because I just wanted a really cheap basic camera. It was only like 250 or something, so it wasn't. It's quite a cheap. It's the most cheap basic DSLR you could possibly get. It's the Canon 1200D, but it is good enough. the worst thing about it, and why I wouldn't recommend you buying it, because I didn't realise this at first, it doesn't actually have a input for a microphone. It doesn't have a socket to plug in a microphone, which really annoyed me, because I've got a microphone that theoretically could plug into a DSLR, but this doesn't actually have a socket for, you know, a microphone plug-in. So I use a USB mic, but other than that, it's perfectly fine. I think the picture quality is good enough. You know, I would prefer a better camera. Again, it's annoying not having a flip around screen. That's by far the worst thing, but I can kind of work around that. Again, it's not the best camera. I would prefer a much better quality camera, but it's perfectly fine for what I need it to do. So yeah, just a basic model Canon DSLR there, the 1200D is what I use. And also for the microphone, I use a blue Snowball mic, which is this cheap USB mic that you can plug into your MacBook, but it's good enough for what I use it for. I would prefer a better quality mic, but it's perfectly fine for what I need it for. And with this, what I'm shooting now is my Logitech C920 webcam, which I use for when I do longer videos, so that, because the webcam doesn't cut me off, whereas the DSLR, again, another problem with DSLRs is that you can only shoot 10 minutes at a time and then it cuts off, whereas if I use the webcam, I could just record for as long as I want to and it wouldn't cut me off. So yeah, there we go. So the Canon 1200D DSLR for my regular videos, and then for these kind of videos I'd use my Logitech C920 webcam, which is actually, I would recommend the webcam actually, because, you know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good quality. You can shoot in HD, and like I said, it doesn't cut you off. You can just shoot for as long as you want. You can plug it into your Mac or laptop or whatever. So yeah. And next out, Rich Reviews also asks, is there a YouTuber that you would love to meet? I mean, wow, I can answer this in many different ways. I mean, sure, there's a lot of YouTubers I would like to meet. If I was to pick one, I mean, this is so hard, because would I pick one who does the same kind of thing that I do, and I could talk to them about films and that kind of thing, or because there's a lot of YouTubers that I love watching and I'd love to meet and interact with, but I'm going to have to go the flip pick. John Flickinger. I would say Chris Stuntman, and I think Chris Stuntman is the best movie reviewer on YouTube. He's by far my favourite, but I absolutely love John Flickinger, the flip pick. I think I'm more similar to him personality-wise. I mean, he's way funnier than I am, and he's a lot better than I am, and he's a lot more kind of relaxed and kind of a lot more fun with his videos. I probably take myself a little bit too seriously, and I should probably just loosen up and relax a little bit more. So in that respect, I'm probably more like Stuntman. But I can identify with John a lot more in terms of his sense of humour, in terms of some of the movies he likes, and I love his videos. I think he makes some of the most entertaining movie-related videos on YouTube. He's not massive, he's not got like millions of subscribers or anything. He doesn't like put up his videos, as many videos as a lot of other YouTubers do. He doesn't like upload as frequently as maybe he should, but every time he does put a video up, it's very entertaining. And the great thing about John is that when you're watching his videos, it doesn't feel like they're scripted. It doesn't feel like, it feels like he's enjoying himself. It feels like he's just being himself. It feels very natural, you know. It feels like, it doesn't feel like he's putting on any kind of persona or any kind of mask. It feels real. It feels like he could just be talking to your friend, and that's the great thing about John. I know that it puts a conscious effort into making his videos. I even did like an interview with him, actually, like a written interview over email back when I was at university, and he even said that he likes to make his videos more personable, where it feels more kind of real and personal, where it could be almost like you're just talking to your friend and having fun with your friend talking about movies. And that's the great thing about John. I think Chris Stuntman is the better reviewer, but I still love John's reviews, and I love his personality and how kind of fun and entertaining his videos is. And yeah, no, I'd love to meet him, and I think there are some similarities between me and him. We're not obviously not nowhere near exactly the same, but there are some similarities between me and him, I think. And I think I would really get on with him, and I'd have, you know, I would love to be able to meet him and talk with him about movies and stuff. So yeah, so John Flickinger, the flip pick, I'd probably like to meet the most. And next up, Rich Reviews also asks, if there was a biopic based on you, who would play you? I'm going to put a little bit of thought into this. It's difficult if I was to go younger or older. Maybe if I was to go older, Jeremy Renner, maybe. Kind of look alike, slightly, maybe, I don't know. So maybe Jeremy Renner. If I was to go younger, I mean, he's not actually that young, but Elijah Wood. My mum always used to think I looked like Elijah Wood when I was younger, and so yeah, maybe Elijah Wood. He probably looks the most like me out of any famous actors out there. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? It's probably a better question. What do you think? Which actors do you think look most like me? Which actor do you think would play me in a movie? But I'll probably say Elijah Wood, maybe. I mean, he's not one of my favourite actors working today. I think he's really good, but I think he probably looks most like me, maybe. So yeah, so probably either Elijah Wood or Jeremy Renner, I would say. But yeah. And Rich Reviews also asked, is there a TV show that everybody loves that you hate? Or vice versa? I don't think so. I mean, pretty much all the big TV shows that everyone loves and everyone raves about, I think are good as well. There's not one that everyone loves that I think, that's not very good. You know, I think they're all good, really. I'm not as big a TV fan as I am like a movie buff. I haven't like watched all of the big TV shows. I know enough about the majority of them, though. Oh, actually, think about it. Some of the superhero shows, actually, I used to watch all of them, but then I kind of gave up on a lot of them because I just kind of got bored. So Arrow, maybe, and it's a shame because I loved Arrow to begin with. I think season 1 was great. Season 2 was even better. The first half of season 3 was great. That mid-season finale with Ra's al Ghul. But then from that point on, from the halfway point in season 3, it kind of went downhill, and I started watching season 4 and then I just gave up watching it. I haven't watched it since. I mean, let me know if you're still watching Arrow. Has the show gotten any better? I mean, it was the same kind of thing with The Flash. I mean, I didn't lose interest in The Flash per se, but a lot of these superhero shows, they got a bit too soap opera-y for me, and they kind of became less good as they went on. I mean, I haven't watched The Flash in a while, so since season 2, I think. I can't really remember, but I just didn't really have enough time to watch all these superhero shows. It was like 7 at one point. I think there's even more now. And yeah, so I kind of gave up watching a lot of these shows like Arrow, Flash, Gotham. But yeah, Arrow's the one that let me down the most because I loved seasons 1 and 2 and the first half of season 3. But from that point on, it really went downhill for me. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was another one I gave up watching. I kind of just lost interest in that as well. So yes, a lot of these superhero shows. I love the Netflix shows. I think the Netflix shows are great. I haven't watched Iron Fist yet. I'm going to have to binge watch that before Defenders comes out. But yeah, I love the Netflix shows. I think they're really great. And I love how they're kind of one big story spread across a like 10 episodes or 13 episodes or whatever. But I kind of gave up watching the more serialized, CW shows because I just kind of lost interest in them. But let me know if you're still watching Arrow, Flash. What are they like now? Are they still like a bit soap opera-y and not very interesting, or have they actually got a lot better? Let me know in the comments down below. Rich Views, have you ever walked out of a movie? I don't think so. I mean, there's been many times where I've almost walked out. I don't think I would ever walk out of a movie unless it was like the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life and I just couldn't bear to watch anymore, because I like watching the entire film, regardless of how bad it is. I like to watch a film from beginning to end before I judge it. Even if it's like a bad film, you never know. It might win you over by the end. But I don't think I've ever walked out of a film. Like I said, there's been many times I've almost thought about doing it. Fantastic Four from 2015. I went to see that, and there were times when I was considering walking out of that, but I didn't. I stayed to the end, and that did not get better by the end. Oh my god, that was like that third act. I mean, oh my god, that was such a mess. And I actually had some hopes for that movie. When the first trailer came out, I was like, maybe this could be good. And obviously there was some, I don't know what the hell happened behind the scenes, and it became such a mess, that film. Oh my god. So that's probably the one that I was closest to walking out, but I don't think I've ever actually walked out of a movie. I've always stayed to the very end, regardless of how bad the movie is. And lastly, from Rich Reviews, do you find Prince Harry's girlfriend attractive? Yeah, why not? So, thanks for the questions, Rich. And next up, a very big one here, from Movies, Reviews and Rankings by Reese. What are your top 5 movie trilogies? And yeah, this is a big one. So I put some thought into this. Well, not a lot of thought. I didn't really have to put that much thought into it. For me, I'd hate to have to rank them. Top 3 are easily, for me, Lord of the Rings, the Toy Story trilogy, and the Dark Knight trilogy. Those are 3 trilogies where I think all 3 of the films are amazing. I would give them 5 stars. I think all 3 of the films in those trilogies are absolutely fantastic. If I was to rank them, I'd probably put Lord of the Rings at number 1. I think Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy, where every single one is a fantastic film in its own right, but it also works as a great kind of overarching narrative across those 3 films. And I'm a sucker for big, epic fantasy adventure films, and I think Lord of the Rings are by far the best. And Lord of the Rings are also some of my favourite films of all time, and I think that would probably be my number 1. Number 2... this is hard. I'd have to go Toy Story. I'm not as big a fan of the first one as a lot of people are, but that being said, I would still give it 5 stars. I still think it's a fantastic film, but what makes Toy Story so great as a trilogy is that I think it's really one of the only trilogies I think of where each installment was better than the last, and like rarely ever happens where the first one was great, but for me Toy Story 2 was even better than the first, and I think Toy Story 3 might have even been better than Toy Story 2. I mean, it's really hard to compare them. I love all 3 of them for different reasons. I think the first one was groundbreaking for its time. It doesn't necessarily hold up as well now. It looks a little, but it did come out in 1995, and it was the very first fully CG animated film, but it is really great and still holds up. But Toy Story 2, I absolutely loved. I remember I rewatched it the other year, and I've forgotten how much I loved that movie and how funny it was. I just think it's by far the funniest out of the 3. It's really a great comedy adventure film. And Toy Story 3 might even be the best of the bunch. I remember seeing that back in 2010 when it came out. I went to see it in the cinema, and I was worried because I'm like, it's been so long since Toy Story 2. Is it going to be as good as the other 2? And it was maybe even better. It blew me away. It absolutely floored me. I think it's most emotional out of the 3. Rewatching it really struck me as like, it's essentially like a prison drama. It sounds crazy, but it's true. And it was so great, so powerful, so emotional with that finale. Yeah, I think it was really great. So yeah, and number 3, I'd put the Dark Knight trilogy. I don't get the case against Dark Knight Rises. I think it's just as good as the other 2. I don't know how I'd rank them. Dark Knight would probably be number 1. Definitely number 1. I love Batman Begins. Dark Knight Rises probably would be number 3, but I still love Dark Knight Rises as well. And I think it is one of the best trilogies as well. Again, it's another one like Lord of the Rings where they work really great on their own as separate standalone films, but they also work really well as one story spread across 3 films where each one ends and then ties into kind of how the following one picks up from where the previous one left off. So yeah, I think the Dark Knight trilogy is really great. And 4, I'd have to put Indiana Jones. I absolutely love the Indiana Jones trilogy. This kind of doesn't count because it's technically a quadrilogy, but I like to pretend that Crystal Skull doesn't exist. I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think it's okay. But for me, Indiana Jones is a trilogy. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade. Raiders is by far the most iconic. I think one of the best films of all time. I might even like Last Crusade more though. I think I absolutely love Last Crusade. I think I've watched that one more than any others, and probably more than any other film ever. I've watched it a load of times. The dynamic between Indiana and his father, played by Sean Connery, I think that really adds a lot to the movie. That sets it apart from the other 2. But I love Temple of Doom as well. I think Temple of Doom is probably the weakest out of the 3, but I still think it's really great. And then number 5, and I'm glad I've waited on this video, because at number 5 I'd probably put the new Apes trilogy. It's recently just been completed with Rise, Dawn and War. Maybe there's another trilogy I'm forgetting. I wouldn't put Star Wars in my top 5. I know, I'm not as a hardcore Star Wars fan as a lot of people, and I think the Star Wars trilogy is really great. But for me, the Empire is the one that's like, amazing. And I don't necessarily love the first one as much as other people do, even though I still think it's really great and groundbreaking for its time and a classic. Return of the Jedi, obviously it's got the Ewoks, and even though there's some great stuff in that movie, like the final confrontation between Luke and Vader, I do really like the Star Wars original trilogy, but I wouldn't necessarily put it in my top 5. Nor would I put Back to the Future in my top 5, because the first one's great and Back to the Future, the other 2 not so much. But yeah, I'd put Indiana Jones at number 4 and the Apes trilogy at number 5. I think each one of those Ape films is amazing. I don't think Rise is as amazing as the other 2, but it's still a really great movie that I really love. Dawn, I've talked about these Apes movies enough, so if you want to know my thoughts on the Apes movies, be sure to check out my Planet of the Apes ranking video. But yeah, I actually think it is one of the best trilogies, and I would put it in there at number 5 on my top 5 best movie trilogies. So there we go. At number 1, Lord of the Rings. At number 2, Toy Story. Number 3, Dark Knight trilogy. Number 4, Indiana Jones. And number 5, the New Apes trilogy. So there we go. Thanks for the question. And next up from Almost Sideways, what movie do you hope they never remake? And this is a very easy one for me. I mean, maybe there's some other ones as well. I mean, there's a lot of ways you go with this question. There's a lot of films that I love that I hope they never remake, but one that stands out above all others is it's not there anymore, but Back to the Future. Back to the Future is one of those films where they just should not touch that. I know Robert Zemeckis has said that he's going to ensure a remake never happens for as long as he's alive. I hope that's true, because they just don't need to remake Back to the Future. I mean, maybe if it's a semi-quasi kind of sequel set in that same world, it's just some other random kid discovers the DeLorean and has an adventure. Maybe I wouldn't necessarily be against that, but a remake? Absolutely not. You cannot remake that film. Literally, why? There's nothing that can be improved. There's no way you can make a better version of that movie. It's just perfect. It's amazing. I love it. One of my favourite films of all time. And you could not recast Marty McFly and Doc Brown. You could not cast any other actors in those roles apart from Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox. They just are those characters. You could not recast those roles. They should definitely not remake Back to the Future, like ever, like never. Don't touch Back to the Future. So that would be my pick for the movie. I hope they never remake. Just Hollywood, don't touch Back to the Future, whatever you do. And what movie do you hope they do remake? And this is a harder one. I have got an answer for this. It's kind of doesn't really count because they are actually in the process of doing it now. But Dune, the David Lynch film, Dune or Dune. Like I said, it kind of doesn't really count me hoping they do remake it because they actually are remaking it. Denis Villeneuve, who's doing the new Blade Runner, who did Arrival, he's remaking Dune, and I am all for that. I cannot wait to see that. I love the original, but let's be honest, it's not a great film. It's more of a guilty pleasure kind of film. But I still love that movie. But I'm all up for it being remade. I think it can definitely be improved. We can definitely have a better film from that kind of mythology and lore, and Denis Villeneuve's doing it. And after what he did with Arrival, and of course he's doing Blade Runner, I am all for him remaking Dune. And he's a big fan of the original, and he also thinks that, you know, a better version could be made. So I cannot wait to see his version of Dune. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and I think that's a movie that could definitely most definitely benefit from a remake. Obviously, we saw Dredd remade in 2012, and that was a great idea. Those are the movies that should be remade. The movies that were kind of like that weren't that great, but you could do something so much better with that mythology. They did it with Dredd in 2012 and made a great kick-ass film with Dredd, and I think they could definitely do it with Dune as well. Because I love the 84 film, but they could most definitely make a better version of that film. And the fact that Denis Villeneuve's directing gets me really excited as well. So I'm looking forward to a remake of Dune. And lastly, from Almost Sideways, is what is your dream job? Probably a director. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if I'm ever going to end up becoming a director, but I don't know if I'd necessarily be a good director. I've yet to actually direct my very own short film. I've been a part of making other short films over the years. Normally I'm like in the producer role, so maybe I should be a producer. That's the role I'm always normally gravitate towards, and I always end up usually being the producer. But I'd just love to be a director. Again, I don't know if it would necessarily be a good fit for me. Maybe I end up directing my own movie and realise, oh, maybe I'm not that good at this. Maybe I shouldn't be a director. But I would love my dream job to be a director, probably specifically a writer-director, because I love writing my own stuff. I wouldn't necessarily want to maybe make somebody else. I mean, I wouldn't be against that, but I love writing my own stuff, and I wouldn't really want anybody else to direct what I've written. So I'd probably be a director because I want to direct what I've written. So my dream job is probably to be a writer-director. Some of my favourite writer-directors working today are, of course, Nolan, Edgar Wright. They're the two big ones, really. So it would be awesome to become a real great kind of writer-director in the future. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Like I said, I'm probably going to get into writing about films first. I'm kind of doing that now, or maybe I'm doing it YouTube with video format, but I'm kind of planning on going into kind of writing about film and reviewing films first, and then transitioning from that into filmmaking perhaps later on down the line. But yeah, my dream job would be to be a writer and director. I think I'd love to be a filmmaker and make my own movies and direct films based on my own scripts. That's probably my dream job. So thanks for the question, Adam. Next up from Aaron Livingston is, what is your opinion on the filmography of William Friedkin? And I can't believe I'm saying this, the name didn't jump out to me at first. I don't think I've seen any of his films. I know he's made some iconic films. The Exorcist is a William Friedkin film, I think. That's probably the most famous one. I'm not a big horror guy. If I was a real big horror fan, I most definitely would have seen that by now. I'm not really in a rush to see it because I'm not a big fan of horror movies. I believe The French Connection is one of his films, I think. So yeah, he's made a lot of iconic films. I don't think I've seen any of his movies, unfortunately, so I really need to get up to speed on William Friedkin's filmography. But I'm unless I'm forgetting something, I don't think I've seen any of his movies. But yeah, The Exorcist is probably the most famous one. But again, I'm not a big horror guy, so I'm not in a rush to check that out. So yeah, actually, with that wraps up all the questions for my very first 100 subscribers Q&A. Thanks again to all the guys who sent in those questions. Some really great, creative, unique, interesting, original questions there for me to answer. I spent quite a while on some of them, but there were some topics that I brought up that I really wanted to spend quite a bit of time, delving into and divulging. So yeah, like the actors, actresses, trilogies, all that kind of thing. So yeah, thanks very much for the questions, guys. I know it's taken quite a long time for me to get around to doing this, but like I said, I've been quite busy the past few weeks, and I've finally got the opportunity and a window open for me to shoot the Q&A, so I thought, why not? Let's get this done. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do another one in the future. This was a lot of fun. I've never done anything like this before. Very first time I've actually done a Q&A, but it was actually a lot of fun. So there we go, that wraps up the video. And as always, guys, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to see more. If you missed my last film review, be sure to go ahead and click over here to catch up on my last film review, or perhaps down here to catch up on another one of my recent videos. But with that said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.